Good morning. My name is Mohsen Ghoreishi. Thank you all for being here today. I am with Dr. Erez, Dayan, the plastic surgeon, very famous plastic surgeon with AVANCE Plastic Surgery Institute. He is with me here today.
Thank you for having me, Mohsen. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming. This is going to be a webinar. It's going to be touching base on surgery centers and dental offices. We try to combine the two because we think is a lot of things that can be shared between the practices as far as post-COVID, if you will. And I hope you get good stuff out of this seminar. And also, if you have any questions, please raise your hands. And I guess we can answer that as you ask. Whenever there's a question and answer button there, you can ask. So I'll start. Anything you want to add, Dr. Erez?
No, I think I think this is really timely, obviously, and very important, especially for the types of practices you deal with, Mohsen. Aesthetic practices, dental practices, really anybody in the medical field. But in particular, things that are a little more elective, because patients are fearful of re-entering practices, and so I think a big part of this is making them confident in re-entering and letting them know that their clinicians are thinking about these things very seriously.
All right. Yes. So what we decided to do today is to actually have some long-term and short-term solutions in how, when you go back to your practice, and what are the things you can do. I think most popular stuff are the short-term solutions, as I hear from. We had one webinar last week. I don't know if you attended, any of you or not, but the short-terms were more popular. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to also take it after the seminar. You can always contact me, or and we can discuss it. So there are three items that we think is really important: is use of building materials. Like I said, long-term and short-term solution, and what kind of environment you're going to actually create for your patients when they come to your office. Because until before COVID, it was very important for all of us to actually have an office that's very beautiful. It flows really well. But after COVID, of course, we realized that there is an additional layer of need, psychological need for patients to actually want to be in your practice. And it's not just the beautiful doors or windows or views you have, but the comfort, the sense of comfort that they're not going to get sick. I bet you had that in your practice, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very lucky that we have a friendship, because without you, I wouldn't consider many of these things. You don't know what you don't know. And so I think it's critical that we're functionally being safe.
Yeah, so we recommend, like Dr. Dayan has done, we recommend that you actually send out a list of things that you've prepared for your patients, that you're ready for them, and the actually steps you've taken for them when they come back to see you, that they're going to be safe. So it's not all about the beautiful glass doors and ceilings we did for you in the past. So we're going to go through that. There are several things you should look into. There are architectural, plumbing, electrical, and furniture. When I say architectural, mostly I'm talking about all the finishes, surfaces, doors, handles, hardware, anything and everything your eyes can see or touch. Those would be all of the architectural stuff. And plumbing is a big issue in your practices, electrical as well, and also your furniture. So I will show some photos and we'll go through it, and hopefully we can, see what we got here. So this is a surgery center with one OR. This could be, I have a few examples on the dental offices as well. So like I said, it's a mix. This is all about the surfaces. I know there are a lot of people that they have carpet probably on their in their corridors. We recommend to take out the carpet. That would be a short-term solution. But this office, for instance, we use ceramic tiles, and also we could use vinyl tile. They look very beautiful. They're very great, very nice, easily cleanable and maintained. And you can also use the tile for your base, or you can use a rubber base, if you will. This is an easy solution, especially if in your waiting rooms and your corridors, if you wanted to change things.
And Mohsen, can you speak for a minute about, you were mentioning to me, I thought it was an important point about the gaps between tiles and, the
Oh yeah,
details
well,
I think are critical.
yeah, actually the grout joint is very important for your tiles. I don't know, some of the old-fashioned tiles are about 8 to 10 inch spacing for grout, and they're not epoxy grout, so you see the stain in the grout. If you see a stain in the grout, that means the grout's not epoxy, and the coffee or whatever has been spilled through time, it could penetrate through that grout. So it would be nice if you could, that one is expensive to remove the grout and put epoxy back in. But I suggest if you are going to put a ceramic tile in, definitely use a 16th of an inch maximum spacing with epoxy grout. That would be the best solution. Now, there are other epoxy grouts with 1/8 of an inch spacing, which they come in they have pretty long warranty on them, about 50 years of warranty that actually nothing can penetrate. Those also are as well good. So if you have an 8-inch spacing between your grout, you could have it removed and replace it with those grouts. We can help you with that to identify those things. But floor finish is one of the big deals because all of the pathogens actually sits inside those carpets you may have, and they really never leave.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same facility as an example. This one is a brand new, it's not that brand new, but we have a lot of automatic doors. Touchless everything is a big deal. And I know this is a pretty expensive proposition to have automatic doors, but this particular client was ahead of time. And of course, all of these doors are automatic. Every one of these are automatic. So basically when you travel through not only the clean area, but also the actual main corridor, everything is automatic, touchless. So when your patients come in, it would be a great idea if, as best you can, for them to touch at least possible. Um, those doors are quite expensive to install. Uh, Doors are big issues. We will get to that in a quick second, but I suppose you could install a brand new door at your operatories or at your exam rooms, but it's questionable if what kind of door you can install and want to install. And I'll get that in a minute to that. These are your surfaces. You have a lot of cabinets in your offices. So what we're thinking is it would be great if you could actually add a glass backsplash at the back of your cabinets. Like you have a sterilization area or you have a sink area where it's drywall and you have the old-fashioned 6-inch backsplash. It would be great to add a piece of glass. You could actually have the glass maker to actually paint the back of the glass and adhere it into the back wall, like we are showing here. We have a few examples. They'll come up and I'll show you. That's easily wipeable. Do not use hardware to attach the glass into the backsplash, because then again, the hardware has those crevices you have to clean every day and disinfect. This will be easy wipe. Your countertops. If you have a broken countertop, destroyed countertop, it would be time to just probably use Corian. Some of you that have a brand new offices, probably you have a lot of solid surface countertops. That would be a great help. And also maybe aluminum baseboard. These are easy to actually disinfect and clean. Anything that can be cleaned quite easily. A lot of plastic laminates like these ones, like Nevamar, they come pretty slick and it's easy to wipe. Push open hardware is a big deal on the cabinets. If you actually have an old hardware with a lot of decorative elements on it and you'd like to change it, probably we recommend a push open hardware where you just, you don't have to touch much and grab things and then start cleaning those hardware. Especially at your sterilization, there are those foot pedals that 8X sells, or some of the sterilization, they come that are great actually, so you don't have to touch the hardware and open the doors and cabinets. Your toilets, of course, it would be, I don't know if you call it short-term or long-term, but it's easy to change these faucets we recommend definitely electronic soap dispensers and faucets. And also this particular one, for instance, it comes with a hand dryer as well. And you could this is not only a faucet, but also it's a hand dryer. Of course, you got to watch what kind of sink you got below it. And this is one of those Dyson hand dryers, which you could install in your bathroom toilets. And again, I'm talking about the Backsplash here. These simply is easy to sanitize and touchless as well. Now, this is a Corian countertop with a sink incorporated. This is awesome because the old-fashioned way, or a lot of our clients wanted always the, the actual sink, regular sink, which is under mount, but there is a crevice underneath of the countertop, which you always have to clean, is an area for pathogens, and it's just very difficult to sanitize. This would be a great quick wipe.
Mohsen, what's the, sorry to interrupt you, what is the verdict on the air dryers? Does that is that from a cleanliness standpoint, are those okay, or do you have to go back and sterilize those exceptionally well as far as air movement?
Well, the air dryers are just fine, but it's, in this case, for instance, it is sitting right in front of the sink. And the danger is that you need to have a splashless sink, because sinks, I will send out a link later on to everybody who actually wants to read the, we have an article that it talks about the sink as the splash, the P-trap underneath of that pipe where the drain is a real great home for microbes to grow. And especially if you have the back-to-back operatories or back-to-back exam rooms with a sink, which normally everybody designs it that way. If you have infectious disease or anything, or in the other exam room and the hands are washed, it could find its way through this other P-trap and drain. So when the water is directly coming over on the top of the drain and then it splashes out, and there's a big article about that. A lot of people actually die because of that, in the hospitals especially. They recommend that this should be all by itself, and location of the faucet should be as such that it does not create that backsplash. So the sink has to be a type that does not create that backsplash, and also the faucet cannot be on top of the drain. And this particular air dryer is very strong, and if you don't have the correct sink below it, then it is definitely not good. So this has to be done really right. Great question, actually. Well, there are new toilets that actually today they talk to you, so those are great exchange. So they're touchless, and they go in a normal 2x4 wall. Different brands you could purchase and just exchange your toilets. That'd be a great choice. Your furniture, I think if you have a fabric furniture in your lobbies, it would be a great idea to change it to a leather furniture. Surfaces would be great to have such material. This is called Treeform or Corian. This is solid surface. The Corian, of course, is like a resin material, and it's really easily wipeable. And this, for instance, this desk could be in your consult or your office. It's very easy to clean because of the surfaces. You have to get rid of anything with a lot of additional curvature and so on, and fabric couches and furniture in your waiting room. Of course, this is an example of what you should not have in your office. If your office looks anywhere like this in your admin area or anywhere like that, I don't think anybody is going to come to this office. If you were immune maybe 4 months ago and you received patients in these kind of offices, nobody was going to walk into this office anymore. This is a great time to make a change. This is a great example of what was and what it is. You actually can live without stuff on the countertop. And this is a pleasant, this is a very safe place to walk into. And we recommend, even if you don't go to the great extent to change the cabinetry, at least clean up the surfaces, and where you can take one wipe and swipe and sanitize. It's a big deal. The less you have in the operatory or this, or even the surgery room. I have more examples. Although storage or storage space, especially when you open, there are a few people that they may be working in these rooms. This is a storage space, a supply storage space in a dental office. This is a no-no actually, because you don't want to pass this between among your staff, because they need to feel safe as well. These are a no-no. You have to clean up. This is a OR. One of my surgeons actually practices there every day. And I doubt if he can ever sanitize any of that stuff. And I'll get into operatories as well, but we recommend all of that to go away. And everything goes behind a closed door, like here, where the particles and the pathogens cannot be on top of it.
We just had a comment come in, Mohsen, from Laura. She says, I think those before photos are pictures of most of my clients' offices. I think I got to say, for me, as a younger plastic surgeon, I did my training in Boston at Harvard, and then I came to Northern Nevada. And being from the Northeast, where there was a lot of newer practices, cleaner practices, coming to Northern Nevada, where people, inevitably, when you're in your practice for 30 years or more, you accumulate clutter, you're busy, you don't have time to kind of refresh and,
Yes.
kind of redesign things. But I will say that it's really true. A lot of the offices here, and I'm not knocking the surgeons at all, but a lot of the offices here have carpet, are very cluttered, have visible dust. And I think, frankly, it makes a big impact on just simply conversion rate, because patients don't want to be, they're judging you, whether you're a dentist or a plastic surgeon or a family practice doc, whatever you are, they're judging you before they even meet you. And I think that makes a big difference.
This is a med spa, and if you go to a med spa for you have a filling or Botox or what have you, I don't think this will work anymore. I would suggest to get rid of that, that stuff and these equipments, and in fact, this blanket, and make it a little bit more easily cleanable. This is not really comfortable room anymore. So if you have a med spa looks like this, probably you need to make some changes to what's really inside the med spa. So after every patient, you can clean it up. This is what it was before and after. This is one of our great clients, and this was not her office, but it was an office we acquired, and this is how that MD really practiced, and this is what you really want to have. This is a clean vibe. This, if anybody walks in here, they can see it's clean. It's just so obvious. Whereas this one, it's definitely, it's like, are you really serious? Do I really want to be here? This is a 12 o'clock delivery unit, actually, at one of my prospective clients. I am not sure if you can ever go to this practice and he's taking a complete remodel because of all of this that's happening. There is no way you can sanitize any of that. Existing OR to the left. This is a no-no, and we have great images for new ORs. It's amazing how people can do with less, as we have been doing for the past 2 months. I haven't shopped a single shirt for me, and I wonder why, where I bought 1 or 2 every month. So I guess as a lot of our clients realize that they can do without all of that on the counter. And maybe adding new cabinetries would be a great solution to some of these facilities. This was a before and after, so we got the carpet out. We did a total remodel. That's a long-term solution. But if you have the carpet in the corridor, I think this is a great time, since you're closed now. You've got to change that carpet. Vinyl planks are a great idea. They're cheap, inexpensive, and easy to install. If you have a 2,000 square foot office and you got carpet in the corridors and the waiting room, it takes a weekend to take it out and put vinyl plank, and it's just perfect. And let your client know you're doing that for them. A couple of examples of what to do for a long-term solution. Use of glass is a great idea instead of actual regular walls. It maybe have an initial cost, a little bit more initial cost, but then for the long term is less maintenance. These are pre-COVID, of course. Post-COVID, we're thinking of doing different doors, and I'll tell you in a second why. But this is a dental office. This is a consult room for a different office practice, but ceramic tiles. Surfaces are really easy to clean at any number of these, but if this was post-COVID, probably we would rethink how we're going to do our doors. This is your office, Dr. Dayan. As we recommended, maybe we can remove, although it's shining and seems very clean, but I guess we will. I know you don't have enough storage.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that. But you're right. Like I said, these are things I haven't thought about. So moving the devices into a storage, sterilizing them, putting them in storage, just bringing them out when you need would definitely clean up the space.
This is a great waiting room, simple. Again, that's your office. I use your photo because you're here. So the vinyl planks, like you see here on the floor here, is easy to install, no seam almost. The seam, these are all adhered and is probably better product than a ceramic tile because it almost has no seams, less than, I mean, there's none. And is easily installed and maintained. And of course, rubber base is perfect here.
And like you said, they can install it over really a weekend.
Yes.
It's not a big, it's actually not such a big deal because I remember they came on a Thursday, Friday. By Monday, we were running.
Yeah. This is a long-term solution, before and after. Again, definitely, if this was the office this wonderful client had, probably it would be a real difficult day today for him to start back in practice. But with this new office, of course, which is a remodel of that office, the only thing I recommended to this is actually one of my best friend's office, of course, to actually change the seats to maybe a leather seat where it can be sanitized after each patient leaves. And it's funny, when in this entire office with 7 operatory, this is a dental office, we have probably about 3 chairs in the entire waiting room. So there is never many people sitting in this office because of the type of operations he has. And people come in and they go to the operatory. So few times you come in, all 3 chairs are, there's one more chair on the left side here, but that's about it. But the fabric maybe could change to leather. But if there is a patient leaving and this patient is sitting here and they see you're sanitizing or wiping the chair, that's a good feeling, especially in the city of San Francisco or bit larger cities. This is again your injectable room. Am I correct?
Yep.
I recommended for you to put a upper cabinet here, get rid of these gloves and put them in the cabinet with those inserts so it's not exposed, and get rid of everything on the counter, the sink, and of course maybe change this faucet here.
Right, so it's not right over the P-trap.
And if you explain why you did that stuff to your client, they really realize and they market you consciously. They tell about and removing all of that napkin. This was okay maybe then, but now it's just not going to fly. Automatic doors to the corridor, nurse station, very clean. I would get away with that stainless steel sink, of course, but if you see the position of the faucet and soap dispenser are very good as far as not splashing. Again, great sterilization room with vinyl floor, rolled vinyl floor finishes that is easily cleanable. Automatic doors, glass walls is our recommendation from here on because it's easier to clean and lasts forever. This is another example of automatic doors. These are pocket glass doors. They actually go inside of the pocket. These are great doors if it is automatic. They got sensor here and they got sensor above the door, so you don't have to touch the door, and they have an override manual. They go into the pocket. It's great doors if you want to do negative pressure by any chance. That was another question from a few of the people that they called me. what kind of doors we use, how can we add a HEPA filter. These are, the less leak you have on the door, the better. Swing door is best, but the second best is pocket doors, because you can adjust the negative pressure in the room. And so that is the same corridor of the previous picture with the sensors here, and all of these doors are automatic. And of course, here we're showing the square tiles or vinyl tiles on the floor. And of course, if you notice the sink, these are all automated, everything is automated, everything is touchless. Glass backsplash, and sharpshoot, and trash. And of course, gloves and so on. Nothing is exposed really. This is a great example of what to have. And it's not really expensive to add cabinetry like that or create those slots, right? Again, this is a good example of what to have. 2 different offices, 2 different practices. Automatic doors are quite expensive. So we could add a device to these doors, actually, that you could open it with your elbow. Actually, they have actually created that. So we can add those to these. If you don't want to touch it, you can open it with your elbow. There's a little device goes on these C arms. And this is what to have. Again, if you see the products at a lot of your offices, you sell a lot of products. I recommend immediately to put a glass cover door on it, because you don't want that to be exposed in the corridor. And this corridor is easily wipeable. We're using the means of glass separation between the panel and the person who's taking the X-ray. Great sterilization room, really beautiful. People walk and they see this, they feel comfortable. That is an example of what we discussed, that this is very powerful, and we'll learn through our experience that this should not be this way. So we'll do it differently from now on. And this is a backsplash at the staff lounge. This is how your staff lounge should look like.
Beautiful.
Corian countertops, everything is wipeable, no wood whatsoever. No, nothing that it's porous, or nothing that actually can allow penetration of any microbes or let any microbes to sit around. So this is a great example of all the materials you should use. The only thing this doesn't have is the air purification, or if you will, HEPA filter on the system to clear the air. But as far as the surfaces, it's easily maintainable. The walls are mostly glass. This is our most recent practice we designed and built, and I think this is a great example of what to have. We have a regular air conditioning system for any practice that normally we used to put. Now we're thinking differently about air conditioning. This is a practice with 2 ORs. I put this for negative positive pressure. I wanted to discuss a little bit about that. I know you don't have a negative pressure in your office because you use the OR else place, but as far as this is a soil room or a sterilization, a dirty room, if you will. So from this area, this entire area is being filtered out, basically. This room has a negative pressure. This room, because it's a dirty room, has a negative pressure, and the OR and the OR. So both the ORs have a negative pressure. So positive air comes in and negative air goes out. And there is a sensor on the wall where you can actually gauge the pressure that actually this room has. And that pressure has to be maintained. So when I talk about the doors, if you wanted to add a door to your open operatory or your open exam room, then maybe the swing door is the best because it's pretty tight. But if you do a pocket door, is the next best. And then I would eliminate, I think barn door would be too much leakage. And if you have no door, then you really can't do a negative pressure. This is a dental office. We have few examples here. For instance, these are the layout, the layout normally people did in the past. I'm not sure how these are going to fly anymore. These are the cabinets dividers between the chairs. You cannot really do a negative pressure in this room if your setup is like that, especially for our pediatric dentists and orthodontics, that they have a lot of open bays. That would be quite difficult.
Mhm.
But your quiet rooms for pediatric dentists and your exam rooms, if it is a single entry door like this one, we can actually entertain to put a swing door or maybe even a pocket door and create 1 or 2 negative pressure room for you. Otherwise, if it is like this, it's not gonna, it's quite expensive to do that, and you can't actually, you don't want to do that. And this particular office, we have a lot of single entry rooms, especially these 4 rooms here. We can easily provide that negative pressure for you, and this room as well. But this one has a double entry and it's got a barn door. It's going to be a lot of leakage. We can, and in fact, this is a procedure room for this particular doctor.
Mhm.
So we recommend probably to close part of it and have a pocket door of some kind rather than a barn door. So there are solutions. Um, as you see, this backsplash, glass backsplash, it is located at the back of every one of these 12 o'clock 12 o'clock cabinets or rear cabinets, if you will. This is a portable HEPA filter. If anybody is looking to modify a short-term solution for their enclosed operatories or exam rooms, it is pretty inexpensive, and you can install one of these, and the positive air can come from outside or can come in from the AC unit into the room. It takes it in, it filterizes and takes it out, cleans it out, takes it out, and send it back in. Pretty easy. There are some contraptions like this that are not that pretty, but this one, there are all kinds of different kinds, and I think this needs to be sized for the size of the room. So they just don't go out there and buy one. You need to consult with an engineer or an architect to make sure they help you with this, to make sure that you can get the right size for the square footage and the type of pressure you're going to need, how much leakage you have in the room, how many windows, how many doors, all of them, they come in question. Little diagram here as far as how things work. If you are having a standalone building and you're intending to actually change the HVAC unit, the air conditioning, maybe you can get one big unit and actually prepare negative pressure for 1, 2, or 5 or 6, whatever exam rooms, operatories you may have. It is very possible to do that. Presently, we're doing an office with 16 operatories, and we are actually installing negative pressure for all 16 operatories as a dental office. So what we're doing, we're creating one single unit that can accommodate 16 operatories with negative pressure. So no patient can sit in a room that does not have the negative pressure. And what it does, fresh air supply comes in, and then the contaminated air goes out through this the ducts can be getting mixed up, if you will. So from each room that you require negative pressure, they can go out and they can get into one ductwork and out. You cannot mix this exhaust with any other exhaust. And actually where it goes out is very important too. You can't really dump it in the sidewalk or something that's adjacent to other people. It has to be filtered and go out. Even if it's filtered and go out, it cannot be, like, let's say, on the side of the street. So your location, your building is very important as how you're located and what kind of system you should be getting. This is a short-term solution, and what this is a HEPA filter. You see the size of it is about 2 foot by 4 feet, and this can be sitting. If you have an operatory or an exam room, if you look up, you'll have one single air supply, and this can actually, you can remove that air supply and put this on the top of it. And that's your HEPA filter right here. And this can actually clean the air, and then it has to be ducted out. is really made for a 2x4 register, or you can put it on a 2x2 register, but you have to have enough room above the, if you will, above the ceiling to actually do that. Because you need to add a new ductwork that's welded ductwork, because you need a special ductwork because there is a lot of pressure in the ductwork. It needs to be welded in order to maintain that pressure in there. And that's how
it
it's
seems
going
like
to
a great option, Mohsen, to really filter out the air of that room without necessarily spending too much for a whole new system.
Exactly. This is about $12,000 to install one of these, but you have to have the capability above the ceiling to actually have room to put this in and also create a new ductwork to get this out. If you do not have that, then you got to go to that portable. This would be a clean one. You see,
yeah.
that's how it works. At the very top, you just simply you remove it, you put that up, and you're done.
Mohsen, what's the maintenance on something like this, as far as once you install it?
Depending on how clean is your environment. If some of these are newer practices we designed, because of the surfaces that is so wipeable, easily wipeable, the filter on this does not have to be maintained and changed, but maybe every 6 months.
Okay.
But if some of the other offices I showed you, I won't even put that in. I mean, because people don't even get this if your counter looks like that.
Right, I understand.
But if surfaces are clean, less is always more. Then about every 6 months. If it's dirty, every 3 months.
Okay.
It all depends on how dirty it is.
I got it.
Or there are windows, like air comes in, or outside air may be sucked in. If you're next to a highway, you have more dust and particles coming in. It all depending on that. So that's how it works, actually. This is the HEPA filter system, and that's how it works. It sits on the top of your operatory, your OR, your exam room. It doesn't matter what it is, but this is the actual system. And that's how it cleans it. The clean air comes in, and from the side, the contaminated air goes out, and it actually filters it and circulates it back in. So that's how it works. It's a pretty expensive proposition for a new construction, but it's safe. So these HEPA filters, of course, they clean about 99.7% of the particles to about 0.3 microns. So they really clean the space. And that's why we use them in the hospitals, in the ORs, in the, you have seen probably those rooms, negative pressure rooms in the hospital with signs on it. And of course, we recommend UV lights in every practice these days, which I'm sure everyone knows about that by now. You all have done your homeworks, but the welded steel ductwork is a big deal, because that is also costly. It's different from the kind of ductwork you have presently in your practices. And that's all I have for today.
Well, thank you so much, Mohsen. That was really helpful. I think, for me, now embarking on building a new practice, I think it's actually very timely. Or even, I guess if I were renovating a practice, it's very timely to hear all these things. And it sounds like also for you guys, you're considering more and more of these issues given everything going on.
Yes.
Cool.
I have one question here. I don't know if you saw that. It says, what is the recommended grade type of air filter required for, for our HVAC system during COVID-19? And that's what we just discussed about, because that it all depending on your practice, where you are, or what kind of size of room, and how much your budget is. So that would be the answer. That would be the answer to that question. So every room has to be examined.
And as I was mentioning to you, Mohsen, yesterday, the day before, we're currently embarking on a study looking at laser devices and different aerosolizing devices, energy-based aesthetic devices in my case, and really measuring those particles. And I think it's very timely, because there are particle readers, as you know, that'll measure up to 0.3 microns. And how much, just from an occupational standpoint, OSHA has no recommendations on laser devices and how these particles, these biologic particles can get aerosolized. So I'm personally very concerned about it for personal reasons. You know, we're doing lasers all day long,
Mhm.
and what's happening in the air, and what, you know, you may not be able to see it, but we all know that sometimes what you can't see can be most problematic.
I agree. And of course, there are a few products for aerosol is a big deal in the dental offices. And I think, for instance, dental offices are probably one of the most dangerous, one of the most difficult practices after post-COVID.
Hmm.
And I applaud our dental professionals with what they do
Hmm.
because of the aerosol. And is there something that it can use the aerosol, or is there anything that can actually mitigate the aerosol in an operatory? Um, I honestly don't think there is really. There are several equipments. It's made, by the way, in China, and different companies are promoting it, and some of them are back ordered.
Hmm.
But it is very difficult to get rid of aerosol. So I think your gears, your entire, uh, you know, outfit there in the operatory is very important. How you take care of the patients.
Hmm.
So yes, you are exposed, and that's very difficult. With the negative pressure, you could actually get rid of some of that, and some of those particles.
Hmm.
It mitigates some of that, but not 100%. So if you think you can get rid of all of that, no. It takes the bacteria, it takes the pathogen, it takes the particles in the air, but aerosol is a lot in an operatory,
Yeah.
and that's a big deal. But in the hospitals, in the facilities that usually are prone to having infectious diseases, or people with infectious diseases walk in, we do have negative pressures in the area of the waiting room, uh, uh, consult room, or triage, if you will, uh, so as um, so as the dirty area and the OR or ER or exam rooms, if you will. But then the rest of the areas mostly is all positive, and the areas where people are accumulated and sitting is or are engaged with the staff are negative pressure. That's why the HVAC system uh, for some of the offices, especially dental offices, dental offices usually the requirements to build the dental offices in the past were the minimum, a lot less than surgery centers or hospitals. But I think post-COVID, I would suggest dental offices are going to be a lot, if not equal, even more
Mhm.
important than a surgery room, because in a surgery room you have one patient. You are doing, like, you go to an OR. How much probably in an OR you're going to be per patient average?
How much? Sorry, how
Yeah,
much?
how much time you spent in an
Oh,
OR?
on average, 3 hours probably.
3 hours. So how many patients do you see per day?
Yeah.
If you have an OR in your practice, you see
Yeah, you're
maybe.
easily in there for, 10, 15 hours.
Right. Well, I'm saying, like, you see what, three patients, maybe you'll have three surgeries, two
Yeah,
surgeries, three
yeah. Let's say
surgeries,
three on average. Yeah, so about
three
10
on
hours.
average. But in a dent, and then that patient is sedated, is completely asleep. And your waiting room is empty. You, you don't have. When you think about the dental office, some of our general practitioners, they see about 70 patients per day.
Yeah, much higher
And,
volume.
and you imagine 70 patients, they come in and go, and that kind of practice may have 25 staff, associates, front desk,
Yeah,
clinical
it's a lot
area.
of people.
It's amazing, the interaction in the dental office. And I
Right.
think if you are doing a brand new dental office, maybe it's a good time to think about the HVAC system that can actually, in fact, work like you are in a hospital. Because if you are having an existing office, it is not a bad idea to examine how you can adapt some of these um, engineering HVAC system in your space, and the
Yeah.
finishes we talked about. So I think dental offices are number one in my list, as far as how the doctors need to take care of themselves, their staff, and their patients. Surgery centers, like, you have one OR or two OR, but some of my dental practitioners, they have like 20 or 16
Yeah.
ORs,
Yeah. Yeah. Much,
five
much
ORs,
different.
small. I mean, in 1,000 square foot space, you have five operatories, and you see
Amazing.
70 patients per day, 60 patients per day. It's unbelievable.
Right.
But in 1,000 square foot surgery center, you see three patients per day. That
Right.
is
Totally
a
different
huge
equation.
difference.
Yes.
Right. So I think the regulations for dental offices are going to change. And I think this is the start. And I think we should start with HVAC system, engineering, and also the material and surfaces and everything we touch. So as the electrical, like all the sensor lights, push without push, so as the lights comes on, go off, we need to adapt all of that into our practices.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We had a bunch of questions here, Mohsen, about the details of the HEPA filter. Maybe if they email you, that may be best, because I know that these things are customized to size of the room and all these other factors that you've taken into consideration.
Yes, yes. If you send info@kohaninc.com, I think info@kohaninc.com, we'll try to answer all your questions. But then again, we'll try to help you. We've had a lot of phone calls every day and emails about what to do, how do we modify this, that, but we'll be happy to actually help you with that. I have a question. What brand of portable? Okay, yeah. What brand? Okay, I'll provide the brand for you. There are many different kinds of brand. I will provide the brand. Just send me an email and I'll be happy to give you, actually, I'll send you the PDF for the brand if you like. I'll be happy to actually say, I just had to cut the images so that I can speak about this. But if you really need a brand for the particular portable ones, I'll be happy to actually send it to you. Be happy to do that. But then again, there are any brand you pick, they come with different capacity, and you can buy one according to the size of your room, of course.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys for all the great questions, and thank you so much, Mohsen, for enlightening us on this area of your expertise. It helps all the clinicians, especially. I mean, I feel better prepared now that I've learned all these things from you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dayan. We have a seminar coming up next Friday for med spa and surgery centers only. We are doing a case study for that. And also we are doing a case study for an existing dental office, particularly a pretty old dental office that we are going to make a case study out of a dental office which has a carpet on the floor and all that stuff. And we're going to talk about the cost and how much it's going to take to actually convert one of those to a better way of use. And also, we're going to have a program within 2 weeks coming up with a new software we're building for operations, where we are going to help our dentists to be able to see the same number of patients per day using our new program. I will introduce that in about 2 weeks. So look out for that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you again, Mohsen. Thank you for having me, and thank you for all the information. We all appreciate it.
Thank you so much for everyone attending this seminar. We appreciate that. Thank you, Dr. Dayan.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're very kind. Thank you. Have a great day.
Talk to you soon. Bye.